Coach Bergeron.
You talked after the game Saturday about wanting expectations to increase for next year. That was the mental part of it, but physically, what do you want to see happen between now and?
Well, I think we've addressed some physical issues, with our recruiting class coming in. I feel like there's some size in that group, and I feel like there's some scoring punch up front, which obviously we needed. The physical improvement that we want every returning player to make is just something on an individual basis that we think they all need to take their game from today to next September 1st or whatever it is when we start unofficially on the ice. And we're going through that this week with individual meetings. So that's just going to be an individual focus. And then where that individual player fits into the big picture next year is something that we discuss and we talk about the physical improvements that need to be made. But all of that, Kevin, to me comes back to expectations. What does each guy expect from himself on that day? And that day is Monday. The first day of basically training for the 12-13 season is Monday. And our biggest fear, as we would all probably say, is that we've forgotten where we finished in the regular season because of a good playoff run. We cannot let that happen. And in every meeting we've talked about what role do the coaches have in that? Because from where I sit, I'm not sure how big of a role that is. All I can do is yell and scream and point it out. If they don't expect great things on a daily basis, whether it's at the track or the gym or whatever, that's not going to happen. So that's what I'm talking about with expectations. And I think that test starts on Monday.
Do you think everything is in place to be successful, and the next step is the recruiting or the continued upgrading of it?
Yeah, I think there's more things in place, Kevin. I felt like we had made a nice stride from last year to this year in terms of what was in place, but we were really young. I think there's more in place next year in terms of leadership. I think there's more in place next year in terms of depth and having a more veteran presence, even though that presence is probably going to be sophomores and juniors. At least it's going to be, second and third year guys and not first and second year guys in terms of the biggest number of people on our team. So I think there's more things in place now than there were last September. And then the other thing that we have in place now that we didn't have in last September is a little bit of momentum from the last 3 weeks. The last, the second half of the season, I think, has garnered some momentum here. And we have to find a way as a program to wrap our arms around it and use it in a positive way as we again start to prepare for next season.
Chris, if I can just take it back to a look back at last season, you did address it, I think, a little bit there, saying the last 3 weeks kind of clouds the view of the whole season. When you look at that whole season, what do you see?
I see progress from the first season we were here, John. I see a very frustrating first half of the year specifically. I see a first half of the year where some of the challenges we faced, we didn't do great with handling, starting with me. I see a break coming at the holiday time that was perfect, and in the 10 or 11 or 12 individual meetings we've had so far, to a man they've said that we didn't coach any different, we didn't prepare any different, but just a lot of the lessons we learned in the first half started to pay off and show more positives in the second half. Obviously the way it finished was exciting. It showed potential, but then it frustrates you. How did we only get 5 league wins? But I don't think I can look at it in those terms, and I have to fight. Us as a staff has to fight ourselves on that, to not look at it that way. I don't think we can look at the Michigan game as a game we gave away. I think that's just what was supposed to happen that night, and we need to use this whole season as a learning tool and as part of the progression of us getting here and taking over this program, which getting to Joe Louis in our second year, I think, was very positive. And that's a nice experience now. We don't have to experience it for the first time anymore. We've already experienced it. And we're going to look back on this year with, I think, a lot of positives, but it was a good learning year for us because there was a lot of negative too. It just so happened to be in clumps. You know, a lot of the negative clumps were early, and a lot of the positive clumps were late. And I think we can learn just as much from both, if not more, from the adverse situations early in the year. And again, all I'm talking about is winning and losing. Obviously, it's not anything more than that. But I think the young group we had needed. It was necessary for us to go through the first half and have that adversity, and for us to have the second half we did. And in all relative terms, what happened in the second half is what minimum of what we expect around here. And I think we're progressing to getting to a situation where those expectations are there for us.
When you took it 2 years ago, were you thinking in terms of where you'd like the program to be after 1 year, and then you're thinking after the second year, here's where we'd like to be? And if so, are you kind of in that ballpark?
Yeah. I'm not a smart enough guy, to be honest with you, that I looked at it in those terms. I was so excited to be named the head coach and have this opportunity that I felt I'd worked for. I need to start thinking in terms of that, but if you had to say, compare it, just give me a thought, I'd say we're around where I thought we'd be, but that's just because of the way we finished the second half. I mean, there was parts of the first half where, again, I was really beating myself up and trying to figure out what am I not doing, how am I getting in the way, what is going on here. But then to see the way our team fought against Michigan on the Friday night at Joe Louis, again, I think all these experiences were necessary. So I probably took the short picture, the small picture approach, in that I didn't even think of it in those terms. Like, where would we be after 2 years? I can remember specifically being at Joe Louis last year to visit Jeff Blashill and the Miami staff and so on, thinking, I wonder how long it's going to take us to get here. And to be there this year with our guys and sitting at the banquet and just the whole weekend. It was nice to think that it only took us 1 more year to get there. Now, it's been a long year. It took a lot of different things to happen for us to get there. But I think it's something that we can really build off the momentum. And I don't know, I'd be lying to you if I said this is where I thought we'd be. I think we're in the ballpark. I think we're in the ballpark of where I thought we would be. But I didn't think we'd have 3 wins the first year and 5 wins the second year in the league. It's a credit to our league, blah, 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 but I felt we'd have a little bit more of an impact than that. But the reality is there was lots to do and lots to change when we got here, and we're right in the middle of that process.
You mentioned, Chris, when you were talking to Dave, that you were so excited when you first got here just to have the job. Do you still have that excitement?
Oh, absolutely. I can tell you, you guys were there both nights, and you saw the emotion in me when I talk about the players, because they're giving everything they have, and to see the fans and the emails and the text messages and just the overall sense of the potential of what this program might be doing in terms of moving forward. The excitement level now, more of a sense of reality than I had 2 years ago, just for obvious reasons, because I've got more experience and I kind of understand that it is very difficult. But I can't tell you how excited I am. I'm excited for these young guys to see where they can go. And we can go through the lineup, and I can tell you everybody, to see where their game can go individually and see where we can go as a program collectively. Because we've been through hard times, it'll be nice to see them reaping some reward. But the excitement and energy level in terms of the staff is very high. And again, I think there's more of a sense of reality to it too, just because of the experiences we've had the last couple of years.
Let's talk a bit more about the individual meetings that you have with these guys. Are they all kind of the same? And I mean, you're telling them what you expect from the end of the offseason.
Yes, exactly. It's a give and take. The whole staff is involved, and not as a gang up thing. As this is us. This is family. This is what families do. They have discussions like this. This is the closed door, open forum opportunity for you to say, you're a bad guy, you're a bad coach, you say this and do that, if that's what is on their mind. Because I feel like that's the way adults act. They don't go in there to talk about me. They come in there, and we can get through that. They don't go to the dorm to talk about somebody that's not at the dorm. If you've got a beef with me, let's do it at the proper time and place. So it's a give and take discussion. We talk about this past year. We talk about their expectations going into next year. Our expectations going into next year. School, their summer plans, everything and anything, just to kind of regather in together. Start at ground zero, if you will. Set the tone for Monday when we start to prepare for the 12-13 year, and hash out any issues that there may be. We're around these guys so much that we're not expecting there to be issues, and we're constantly being proactive and talking about communicating and being open with people. And don't go to him to talk about him. Go to him. So we're not expecting there to be a whole lot, but it's just a good time to really get on the same page again and decompress from the season.
You're pleased with what has been happening off the ice as well in the classroom, and you
Yeah,
talked a lot about that when you came.
Yeah, the reason we haven't had to talk a whole lot about that is our guys have done such a solid job in the classroom. I mean, the first semester was outstanding. We seem now again, I want to preface this with we still have some young people on our team, but we seem to have that part of the lifestyle under control. We're still being, on a weekly basis, we're checking in with these guys with how their grades are, so there's no surprises. This is a good time to really re-engage in your academics to make sure you're on top of things, because they have missed some class over the past 3-4 weeks in particular. It's just, it's something that our guys have seemed to be on top of. And we just, all we're doing is just basically following up, make sure they use these next 5 weeks to sprint hard through the finish line when it comes to their grades, and not just because hockey's over, they can take their foot off the gas. That's not acceptable. And if last year was an indication, that's not going to happen, because our guys did a nice job last year of finishing hard.
Do you expect, Chris, a lot of turnover on the roster beyond guys graduating and freshmen coming in next year?
I expect a little bit, John. I don't expect a lot. I feel like everyone's had a fair opportunity to show that they're part of the solution around here in terms of hockey. It would be, if there is change, it would be a business decision only, because the people we have in this program are great people. And to some regard, this is going to sound selfish, but to some regard, it makes it more difficult when they're great people, because how do you say that to a great person? It's very difficult. But this is about the program. This is not about me. And we were put in this place to make the best decisions in terms of that program. And the fact is, we finished in 11th, and we need some serious things being done around here, because it's a serious time. So I do see a little bit along with the 2 seniors, but that's something that we'll see over time.
With the work next season, or the off-season workout starting Monday, are those changes going to be made between now and the end of the week?
Yes, I'm not going to put anybody in a position to go through 5 weeks of difficult times with my decision already being made.
So those who are not returning will be told during their
Correct.
meetings this week. When can Dejan and Derek start working?
The way we're going to approach it is they have to fulfill their 1 full year in residency, so we're not there yet, and they have to be both eligible to play. So when both of those things are met, which I don't want to use the word assume, but I feel like will be when this semester is over, they can be involved in any off-season stuff as any other returning player would be. Now that's all subject to clarification with our compliance people and all that stuff, but that's the way, without having given it a whole lot of thought, because it's only been a couple of days, they're not going to be involved this spring officially, just like they weren't during the season.
You've talked a number of times during the second half about how you've been happy with the leadership. Do you anticipate captains next year?
Yes, and I anticipate that being before Monday. We are going to have a leadership core, and we're going to have some specific leaders. There'll be obviously some crossover in that. There'll be some guys that are part of both. But we feel it's important to have that leadership in place as we start to prepare for 12-13. There's no reason to wait. That's part of our individual meeting, is to get the sense from our players where they feel our leadership is. I liked what was happening on its own without any official appointment from the coach, to see guys in hard situations, especially over the second half. Actually, I take that over the whole year. I liked the way guys stayed resilient, even though it wasn't about one person leading the way. It was all of us collectively not accepting where we were and constantly pushing to get better. So I think some leaders have developed on their own here, and we'll make it official before Monday.
Chris, do you have a process in mind of how they'll be? I mean, is it players choose, you choose?
It's a combination of both. I feel like, again, we're a family that has input from everybody, and as part of the individual meetings, we're asking guys for their feeling on our leadership. And if that includes them, I want to know that includes them, and I want them to be able to back that up in terms of why. And then obviously the coaches will have some say in that. My feeling is it's going to be in the same range and ballpark as the players, what the coaches think, but we'll see how that goes over the next couple of days.
How's Brett Muller doing? I know he's got till next season.
Yeah, he's doing okay, Kevin. I don't, because there was no rush to it, I haven't kept up every single day how it's going. I think he's progressing. I mean, obviously he's still in a sling and very uncomfortable, and it's been tough for him. I mean, seeing him in Detroit this weekend with a suit jacket on and his arm hanging out like this, it was hard, but I know he enjoyed the time with being around the guys again. I mean, Brett's one of the boys. I mean, that's the best way to put it. But he's progressing.
With no setbacks, I guess. Is my
No setbacks. No setbacks.
And how about Hafner and his knee?
It's taken a little bit longer than we thought, but I mean, he was practicing full go at the end of the at the end there. We just didn't feel like it was even fair to Rusty or to our team to throw him into a situation that he just wasn't ready for on any level. But I feel he was 100% at the end of the season, so I think he's going to be able to go into the offseason 100%.
I know you don't want to put numbers on next season, and you've always been small picture, but when you look at the expectations for next season, would it be fair to say at a minimum, probably first round home ice and maybe even taking a run at a top, one of the first round quarterfinal buys? How do you
I'm not ducking it, Kevin, because you know what my expectations are, but I go back and I've read things that I've put on paper just to myself or listened to what I've said, and I just think it sounds ridiculous for me to try to, I look at 3 wins in the league to 5. I look at 2 playoff wins to 4. I look at 10 overall wins to 14, okay, from year 1 to year 2. And am I happy with that? I don't know if I'm happy with that or not. What I'm happy with is that expectations are changing. Our talent level is changing. We're going to be more older next year. We've got a nice leadership developing. I like the path we're on. Is that going to lead to more wins? It's going to lead to progress. How big of a jump is that progress going to be from this year to next? I think there's too many things that I can't measure that are going to have to do with that I don't know yet. Are the expectations, they're sky high. I mean, that's the way I can put it. I'm not trying to duck the question, but I don't know. I don't know the number. I expect us to go into every game next year expecting to win. I expect us to go into every practice next year expecting to get better. And I don't think it always has to come from me now. I think internally they're going to have to answer to one another, which is, that's progress that you can't measure. That's what you want.
And the last part about that, the internal stuff, is that the stuff you're happiest about, that the leadership that the players are taking?
I'm very happy about that. I'm very happy about that. Because they're starting to, they got a taste.
Yeah.
It's a small taste, but they got a taste of success, and they what taste of what we needed to do on that Friday night game to get that victory, not to be close and not to play an exciting game and lose. That's not what we're in this for. So I'm totally excited and positive about the internal expectations that are evolving, and each individual player realizing how they can have a role in making it better from where we currently are.
Very good. All right, Burge, thanks for a great season.
Thanks a lot.